Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Starting Line. I'm your host, Sarah Allen. Do you know how many members make up the Minnesota Legislature? There are 134 representatives and 67 senators.
Senators Bach and Han introduced Senate Concurrent Resolution Number 1, a Senate concurrent resolution relating to the adoption of temporary joint rules.
The number of members who compose the Senate and House of Representatives are prescribed by law.
The clerk will close the roll.
Have you ever felt like there are too many lawmakers, or maybe you think there is not enough to get all the work done? Representative Morgan falls into the camp that thinks there are too many legislators, and he is sponsoring House File 1786, a bill that would reduce the size of the Minnesota Legislature. With less than 20 days left in the regular legislative session, we sit down with the bill's sponsor to find out why he supports a legislative reduction and why he is bringing forth the bill now. Morgan, a physics and chemistry teacher from Burnsville, is serving his third non-consecutive term in the Minnesota House of Representatives. He represents District 56B. Thank you, Representative Morgan, for sitting down and talking to us about your bill, House File 1786. And to begin, can you explain what your bill would do?
What the bill is going to do is reduce the number of senators and representatives in the state of Minnesota. It would go from 134 House members to 98 and 67 Senate members to 49. It would keep the ratio of 2 to 1. But it would just reduce the number in each body by about 25%.
What is your reasoning behind that reduction?
Right now, in the last census, the state of Minnesota was set up so that each member of the House would represent about 40,000 Minnesota residents, give or take a few. So by reducing the number of representatives by 25%, essentially it's a math problem. You have to increase the number of people you represent by about 25%. And that just seemed like a decently round number. It would reduce the size of the legislature. Your House members' districts would go from 40,000 to about 50,000. Senate member districts would go from about 80,000 to about 100,000. There's no special reason I picked the number, although I guess one could argue that when you get down to 98, you get it into double digits. And there's, I think, some optical value to getting it into double digits from triple digits.
What would you say to rural members who are concerned that if this bill would pass, they would have to travel even further than they already have to meet with constituents?
I think that is one certainly reasonable objection. Obviously, I'm a suburban member. That's a different issue for me than it is for them. And I think that that should be part of the conversation, what that would do to rural members' districts. I do know that with advancements in technology, people are doing more things via phone call and Facebook and email than certainly we were when 50, 60 years ago. So I think that should be a part of the conversation. But I do recognize that you will have more people that you represent and also a greater size of your district.
Are there any financial reasons for why you're sponsoring this bill?
I think that there are definitely a lot of folks who think the state can run more efficiently. And I am one of them. I think you want to run more efficiently and just as effectively, and I think we need to find that balance. There have been proposals to, slash the state workforce by X% here and there, and I haven't heard a lot of proposals to slash the number of elected officials by X%. And I thought, if we're really going to talk about operating the state more efficiently, and for less money, this is a place where there are costs, and we should certainly be willing to take a look at slashing our own numbers as well. But again, I do recognize there's another side of it, particularly in greater Minnesota, about the distance you have to travel to visit different people in different towns and counties, and that's an issue that is not as big a deal in the metro area. So,
Do you have bipartisan support for your bill?
I have seen a few other Democrats sign on before I dropped the bill. I haven't checked to see if any Republicans have signed on since then. I do know that Representative Garofalo had a bill that slashed the numbers even further. I don't remember how low he got on it, but I think it was like 50 House members and 25 senators. And I don't remember if he had any people sign on to his bill. But I thought that this was a step in the right direction, not as dramatic a step as Representative Garofalo's. I don't know if he'd consider supporting mine. I think for folks who are really fighting to make government leaner, this is a way to do it. I think there are obviously folks, myself included, who want to be leaner but also effective. And I think that should be part of this conversation. But when you talk about asking representatives and senators to vote on reducing the size of the House and the Senate, I think it gets real. And people have to really question, what impact will this have on me directly? And I'm willing to take that risk that I could be legislating myself out of a job. And I think it would be great if others could take that risk as well.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think this is worthy of consideration. It makes us really ask some hard questions about how we do our job representing our constituents and whether or not we're willing to take the risk of being districted with some other representative and possibly, being voted out or districted out or legislated, in this case, directly out of a job. But I think it's a good conversation to have, and I look forward to the chance to have that conversation next session.
Thank you again, Representative Morgan, for sitting down and shedding some light on your bill.
Thank you very much.
Let's track House File 1786 through the legislative process. It's had its introduction and first reading. It was referred to the Government Operations Committee, and since Representative Morgan introduced his bill after the committee deadline, he's hoping for a hearing next year. In the meantime, he's hoping to get the discussion started on reducing the size of the legislature. We have a starting line update. In late February, we featured House File 521, a bill that would permit Sunday, Thanksgiving, and Christmas Eve off sales of intoxicating liquor. The bill is sponsored by Representative Phyllis Kahn. On Wednesday, an amendment was brought up on the House floor during the debate of the omnibus liquor bill that would permit Sunday, Thanksgiving, and Christmas Eve liquor sales just the same as Representative Kahn's bill. However, it was not brought up by Representative Kahn, but by Representative Tina Liebling, a DFLer from Rochester.
For me, this is about consumers. It's about letting liquor stores operate the same way other retailers operate, and that is they make their own decision for their own business about what days they want to be open.
Representative Kahn did offer up an amendment to the amendment that would require a liquor store to be closed one day every week, appeasing business owners who may be hesitant of Representative Liebling's amendment.
Some of the testimony that we've heard from the liquor store owners is that they will, if they're open 7 days, they will spread 6 days sale over 7 days, and it's just not worth it to them. Then when you ask them, of course, well, you could make that competitive decision, they'll say, well, we can't make that decision because if everyone else is open on Sunday, we'll have to. So I think my amendment to Representative Liebling's amendment answers that question by saying we'll keep the idea that liquor stores will be closed 1 day a week, but we'll allow them to make that decision, and then that will give a whole other arena of choice for that decision to be made. So I would hope that people will support this amendment.
the amendment failed to get the necessary support.
The one thing we have certainty right now is that liquor stores are closed on Sundays. But under this amendment to the amendment, it would say that it's just sort of hit or miss, sort of hopscotch type approach. Might be closed on Monday, might be closed on Thursday, you just don't know. So when you pull up to your local liquor store, you're not going to know.
Representative Liebling's amendment also failed in the House.
What I would ask of you is that you think about the fact that we try to keep this as non-controversial of a bill as we possibly can. Just in the last 24 hours, once the amendment was posted, I see that the Minnesota Family Council, the Teamsters, a bunch of mom and pop liquor stores, businesses, mayors, and city council members have weighed in opposition to the amendment.
Representative Atkins also said that if supporters of Sunday sales want to see it passed into law, then they should get organized, come to the Capitol early, work with both sides, and propose it as a pilot program. You can learn more about this bill and other bills through our online news service, Session Daily. This nonpartisan news source employs a staff of professional writers, editors, and photographers that provide you with in-depth coverage of the Minnesota House of Representatives. You can also watch live coverage of committee and floor action on House TV. To see past bills featured on Starting Line, go to www.youtube.com/MNHouseInfo and click on the Starting Line playlist. Coming up next week, Starting Line will feature a different bill and look to see if there's been any movement on Representative Morgan's bill or other bills we have highlighted. And remember, thousands of bills get introduced every legislative session in Minnesota. All of them first have to cross the starting line.